Hi, welcome to Bookie. Today we will unlock the book Metaphors We Live By. Shakespeare once said, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." In this sentence, Shakespeare compared the process of a drama with the process of a person's life, lamenting that life is just like a drama. The sentence is also a typical metaphor. We view the world as a stage because these two concepts are related to each other, therefore, we can easily understand this metaphor. Why are there so many metaphors? And how do they affect our lives? George Lakoff and Mark Johnsen gave their answers to us in Metaphors We Live By, a popular scholarly text that primarily relies on linguistic evidence. In addition to linguistics, the book also covers various areas, including anthropology, sociology, psychology, philosophy, and more. One author of this book, George Lakoff, is known as the father of cognitive linguistics. He is the chairman of the International Cognitive Linguistics Association and a member of the Council of Cognitive Science Society. When he was 24, he completed his PhD in linguistics and began teaching at Harvard University. At the age of 32, he published his first cognitive linguistics thesis before becoming a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. Not only has he written quite a lot of books, he was also a language coach for Howard Dean, the former chairman of the Democratic Party of the United States when he ran for president. The other author of this book, Mark Johnsen, is a distinguished Knight professor and the head of the Department of Philosophy at the University of Oregon, and one of the founders of cognitive linguistics and philosophy in the flesh. Metaphors We Live By has been translated into many languages and is a must-read book for cognitive linguists. In this book, George Lakoff and Mark Johnsen argue that metaphors are omnipresent in everyday life. They show that metaphors are everywhere in daily life, not only in language but also in thought and action. Thus, metaphors are not only in issues of vocabulary, they are also an essential method to human cognitive processes and fundamental to the way we live. Metaphor is based on our daily life experiences. If we use it effectively, we can use metaphors to change our thinking and improve our lives. In this bookie, we will summarize the book in the following 3 parts for you. Part 1, Metaphor structures how we know ourselves. Part 2, Metaphor structures how we perceive the world. Part 3, Metaphor is the bridge that connects our past and present reality. George Lakoff and Mark Johnsen argue that metaphor is not just a linguistic concept, it also impacts human cognitive processes. Thus, before we can explore the relationship between metaphor and ourselves, we need to understand what metaphor is. We often encounter strangeness in our lives. When encountering something unfamiliar, people tend to use things that they are more familiar with in order to represent and understand what is new or unfamiliar. This is metaphor. First, let's look at how metaphors help us express our feelings by taking love as an example. We've all heard the phrase, "I've fallen in love." When people love each other, the beautiful feeling of love is generated. Falling describes the action of moving from a high place to a lower place. It seems impossible to connect the word falling with love, why do we often use this word? In her TED Talk What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Love, Mandy Lev suggested that when she thinks of the word falling, she imagines a person who walking along on the pavement and suddenly and unceremoniously falling through a manhole into a sewer. What's interesting is that if a person falls into a sewer, it must be very dangerous, yet "I've fallen in love" sounds romantic. This is a metaphor. Falling is the action of moving from a high place to a lower place, often accidentally. We use the action falling to describe the emotional change when a new romance happens. In terms of the metaphor "I've fallen in love," falling changed from the domain of actions to the realm of expressing feelings, making the invisible and intangible feeling of love more vivid and concrete. Indeed, we may also wonder why haven't we heard of running into love or jumping into love, since actions like running and jumping are similar to falling. This is because according to our experience, falling is unexpected, uncontrollable, and unauthorized, which is just